Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Shelly, and today I'm going to be talking about, let me get it up, the 14 nonfiction books to read this summer according to the New York Times. I have a sister video of this video of the books that the New York Times recommended for this summer. So if you're interested in the fiction version of that, I will leave that link down below. And yeah, so today we're going to be discovering nonfiction, and I think if all of the pieces come together the way that I hope that they come together, then I will have my own recommendations. So for summer reads, I myself will have my own recommendations for you all for summer reads. So if you are new to my channel, then hi. I'm Shelly. This is very much a Shelly video in that I am digging into a list that I find interesting, fascinating in some way, and I really have an affinity with the New York Times, so I tend to follow their lists more than any other. And if you happen to find yourself enjoying this video and you are not yet subscribed, I would encourage you to subscribe. But otherwise, let's just go ahead and get into the meat of this video. All right, so what does the New York Times think that we want for a summer read? That is my question, and I'm going to tell you about the book. I have my computer down here. I'm going to tell you about the book and then tell you if it sounds like something I want to read. Now, the first thing, interestingly, it's a book about ice. So maybe they're like, look, we want y'all to escape the heat with a little bit of ice reading because it is called Battle of Ink and Ice. The subtitle is, because all subtitles have to be a million words long, a sensational story of news barons, North Pole explorers, and the making of modern media. I can't even say the subtitle right. That's how long it is. This is written by Darrell Hartman. It's being put out by Viking Press on June 6th. And this is what it's about. This is what they're saying it's about. American explorers discovered the North Pole later than you might think. It wasn't until 1909 that Admiral Robert Peary became the first person to plant a flag in the Arctic frost. Or was it Frederick Cook a year earlier? This deeply researched new history shows what happened when the big New York newspapers of the day took sides and profited off the debate. I think the most interesting part of this story this book, the most interesting aspect of this book to me is the media circus, but I get so much media circus in my own life. Like, I live in the US, been through a couple of presidential elections that were quite circusy, just acrobats flying everywhere, fireworks, that, I don't know, I'm not super thrilled about learning more about it. So there you go. Ooh, okay, so the next book is, so I'm, not really that interested. Oh gosh, I should probably scoot over. Here I am, taking up the whole frame. Books need their space. Okay. The next one is Pageboy, a memoir by Elliot Page. So this was the star of Juno and the Umbrella Academy. Elliot, who came out as trans in December of 2020, and he shares his growing up story in probably transition and post-transition life in the public eye. That's what it looks like. It's about, now I'm not a fan of celebrity memoirs. I'm not a huge fan of celebrity memoirs. I tend to pick up like one a year, maybe less. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, okay? Like, I'm not like, woohoo, celebrities, gotta read about them. That's just not me. So as much as the topic seems interesting, and I have nothing against Elliot Page, I'm just not super interested. Though I think that this is a very anticipated release for a lot of people. And for you, I say huzzah. This is coming out by Flatiron Press on June 6th as well. The next one is The Talk by Darrin Bell. This has all of my buzzwords in the copy, and it says, a Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist draws his childhood in Los Angeles to explore racism on a deeply personal level. One of my prizes that I follow is the Pulitzer Prize. Primarily a Pulitzer Prize for fiction, though whenever anything is a Pulitzer Prize anything, it gets my little, like, it perks me up. I get excited about it. So considering it's a Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist, that's awesome. Like, it means that I'll get well-executed drawings, or that's what I would expect. And I love anything that's deeply personal. I also really enjoy a graphic memoir, a graphic novel, a memoir done in the style of a graphic novel. You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. So this is like, I'm deeply interested in this book. And this is the rest of the copy. So the first time he heard the talk, which is in quotes, he was 6 and wanted a toy water gun, prompting his mother to gently explain the entrenched bias in how Black children are perceived. That's so like heart-wrenching to me. This is just getting me in the feels. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for the talk. This is being put out by Holt Publishers, and it's coming out on June 6th. This might be weird timing, but they're talking about a school and it's coming out in summer. Most schools are out for the summer, so I feel like most educators are like, the last thing I want to think about is school, the school year. I don't know, interesting timing. Maybe there's nothing to it and I'm just sort of blowing smoke, but I'm just like, I don't know. As a teacher myself, the last thing I want to read about is the education system. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not true. I'm just finding the timing of note or of interest. And the book is called The Most Tolerant Little Town. And then the subtitle is The Explosive Beginning of School Desegregation. And this is by Rachel Louise Martin. It is about the 1954 decision, Brown versus the Board of Education, which decided that public education in America should not be segregated by race. 2 years later, Clinton High in Tennessee was the first school in the former Confederacy to attempt to follow that ruling. And so Rachel Louise Martin follows that story. I don't know. I feel like I've read and heard, and like as a teacher living in the South, I've read and heard about this decision quite a bit. I've thought about it quite a bit. I'm like, it's mildly interesting, but not super getting me, okay? It's not super getting me. The next book is Wannabe, the subtitle being Reckonings with the Pop Culture That Shapes Me by Aisha Harris. They have a quote from her: pop culture shapes us and we shape it right back in an invigorating feedback loop of creativity and interpretation. That is a quote from Harris's book. I don't know, maybe I'm just having a moment. I'm like, I want escapism. I don't want anything that is going to remind me of today. Yeah, actually, that seems quite right. Like, our first book was about a media circus. I feel like I've lived through enough media circus for my lifetime, I will never stop following it, but that's how I'm feeling right now. And feelings shape the way, like, what books we pick up, at least feelings shape what books I pick up. When I'm feeling tired of a topic, when I feel exhausted by a topic, I'm not going to want to pick up that book. So we had the media circus, teaching, now pop culture. I'm just not that interested. So let's hope that we can get something in here that I'm like fascinated by, maybe a little escapism in there. Okay, so our next book is The Sullivans, Sex, Psychotherapy, and the Wildlife of an American Commune by Alexander Stille. And this is what it's about. In the late 1950s in New York City, a group of therapists founded the Sullivan Institute, which promoted free love and communal living and attracted hundreds of followers, including the painter Jackson Pollock. But within a few years, the group took on the feeling of an insular hierarchical cult, with leaders overseeing even the most intimate details of the members' lives. Of the living members. That's what I wanted to say, but it's not what was written. Okay, that actually sounds fascinating, okay? Like, this is the escapism that I wanted. Never lived in a commune. Free love and commune living. This is not, this is not my life, and that's what sounds interesting about it. And I, of course, didn't live through the 1950s, but it sounds fascinating. Okay, so this is being put out by Farrar, Straus, and Giroux on June 20th. Gosh, that sounded good. I hope it's written well. I'll have to keep an eye out for further reviews of the book, but it sounds so good. The next book is The Heat Will Kill You First, subtitled Life and Death on the Scorched Planet by Jeff Goodell. Now, this is the alarming and timely look of how rising temperatures across the globe will radically change our lives unless we make a concerted effort to scale back on the use of fossil fuels. So, in an environmentally conscious book, I've been reading for the BookTube Prize several of environmentally conscious books. One book I will be picking up is Eating to Extinction, and I also recently read Paradise Falls, which is about a community that was built on top of and nearby Love Canal, which was a chemical dumping ground. And so I feel like I'm getting quite a bit of environmentally aware books in my life, and so this isn't the top priority of my list, but again, it's very much shaped by what I'm reading right now, but it may be something that you're interested in, so I'll have to keep that in mind, revisit it if I'm feeling in the mood for an environmentally conscious book. Okay, this next one sounds really good, really good, really good. Okay, get yourself together, Shelley. Okay, it's called The Underworld, Journeys to the Depths of the Sea by Susan Casey. So Casey is a best-selling author who has written extensively about sea life and takes readers to one of the world's most remote reaches, the deepest ocean, which has fascinated humans for centuries. Okay, that does sound really interesting. This is being put out by Doubleday, and it's coming out on August 1st. However, I have The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery sitting on my shelves. I almost picked it up a few weeks ago when I had a gap in my reading, and I just haven't read it. And so if I'm interested in the sea creatures that fascinate us, and it's well written, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be an engaging read, then I will pick up Cy Montgomery's book, because I don't want to double myself in my collection. I don't want to go out and buy something that excites me when I can turn to my shelves and use that excitement to pick up something that I already own that will fulfill that desire just as well, if not more. And Cy Montgomery's book is a book that has been incredibly well received. Basically, everybody I know that has read it has said that it is an incredibly beautifully written, engaging, and fascinating book. And so it's tickling it's pressing all the same buttons that Susan Casey's book is pressing. I'm like, ooh, a secret underworld, a secret sea life underworldness that I can explore and be fascinated by. And guess what? I own a book that will do exactly that. So if I am yet again excited about a book that is going to tell us the secrets of the ocean, I'm just going to turn to Cy Montgomery's book. Okay, the next book is The Visionaries, Arendt, Beauvoir, Rand, Ville, and the Power of Philosophy in Dark Times by Wolfram Ellenberger. Now, this same writer wrote a book called The Time of the Magicians, and it was about the decade that reinvented philosophy, also using 4 key figures that reinvented philosophy. It is a German written book, and it is translated by Sean Whiteside. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, but typically when there is a biography about many different people, I would just rather read a biography about each individual person to better get an understanding of who they are and the scope of their life, rather than using bits and pieces of their life to build a narrative on a single subject. I don't know, I'm just more curious about single volume biographies of individual people rather than a book that is focusing on a single idea, pulling the biographies of multiple people to reinforce that idea. And it seems like that this book is doing the latter, but I am, it sounds fascinating. It seems like it's a grand topic, and it seems like it's something that this author has done before. So I would imagine that if their previous book was well received, that it will be gathering a similar audience for this book. It's coming out from Penguin Press is putting this out, and it's coming out on August 8th. The next book is The Marriage Question, George Eliot's Double Life, and this is by Claire Carlyle. For some of you who know and some of you who don't, I read George Eliot's Middlemarch earlier this year, and it is still my favorite read for this year. It was incredible. It was an incredible read. So this is about, anything with George Eliot in it, I'm like immediately interested in. So it's no surprise that George Eliot, the greatest portraitist of unhappy Victorian couples, did marriage her own way. In 1854, the soon-to-be novelist traveled to Berlin for a research trip with George Louise, a philosopher, critic, and father of three. He was already married, albeit in an open kind of way. Louise encourages Elliot to write fiction and to share the next 2.5 decades with him. The relationship was a scandal. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. That sounds so good. Okay, I know that there are, of course, George Eliot biographies out there. So, but it's so wonderful to see a new biography of a writer that I admire. And it's, I don't know, it just excites me, okay? So this book is definitely one that I am interested in. Ooh, this next one is called Queen of the Court, The Many Lives of Tennis Legend Alice Marbles by Madeline Blaise. So this is Madeline. I don't know. Madeline Blaise is an award-winning journalist, and she dives into the life and times of Alice Marble, both on and off the court. Man, I read Billie Jean King's memoir last year, and I really liked it. I don't care about tennis though. I don't care about tennis, despite having read David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest, which is all about tennis, among other things. And I did enjoy the Billie Jean King memoir. I just can't say that I'm a tennis fan out there. But the fact that this is done by an award-winning journalist does pique my interest a little bit. We have another celebrity memoir. It's called Daughter of the Dragon, Anna May Wong's Rendezvous with American History. And this is by Yontae Huang. So Wong is apparently the most famous Chinese American actress of her time, known for her role in Shanghai Express and The Toll of the Sea. And this is just the biography of her life. I'm just not that interested. I mean, I'm interested a little bit because I am curious about how this Chinese American actress, what her experience was like, but not enough to pick it up. Cool cover though. Have to give it that. Very, very cool cover. The next book is Necessary Trouble, Growing Up at Mid-Century by Drew Gilpin Faust. So during her childhood in the 1950s, Virginia Faust, a historian and former president of Harvard, became deeply attuned to racism and sexism, spurring a lifelong passion for civil rights. Rather than follow the path of her parents, which would have been preferred, one of a well-adjusted, poised young lady, the author engaged with the biggest social and political issues of her time. And here she reflects on her life and that journey. I've kind of cycled out of reading memoirs. I was actually quite relieved that I'm reading 6 nonfiction books for the BookTube Prize, which is a literary prize judged by booktubers and other bookish community members. And I was relieved. I was surprised at my own soul when I was relieved that I didn't get any memoirs. And so I'm just not interested in any memoirs right now, despite it sounding like an interesting one. This is being put out by Farrar, Straus, and Giroux on August 22nd. This last one, which has an incredible book cover, is They Called Us Exceptional and Other Lies That Raised Us. And this was written by Preecha Gupta. Gupta, who was raised in a supportive, well-to-do Indian American family in the Pennsylvania suburbs, uses her own experience to examine the dark side of the model minority myth. So it sounds like she is exploring that idea. I don't know. I want something. I think if I was to choose anything, I would choose the George Eliot biography. It's sort of ticking all of my intellectual boxes and my mood right now, which is not of this time, otherworldly, sort of taking me outside of the current political and social context, not reminding me of my daily life. I love my life. I love it. I love being a mother. I love being a wife. I think that what's going on is really interesting. However, I think we all need a little bit of escapism from time to time, and the books that I'm enjoying the most are the ones that are giving me that. And it's probably because in my own daily life, my attention is being demanded in so many, is being fought for and is being demanded by others in so many different ways that, and there's so many things that I keep up with just in general in terms of the news and education and, what's going on in the world, that I think when I turn to reading, I don't necessarily want an intellectual's take on what's going on right now. So the thing that I want is something of history, something in the ocean, something that is of a different time period, to like give me something else that doesn't remind me of now. And that's probably just a lot of this end ramble, this sort of conclusionary ramble, because that's all I have, is really showing me, I think, where my mood is at. And how I'm feeling right now. I've been feeling this way for a little while, so yeah, I wonder what that's saying. When I did In the Mind of a Mood Reader, I wanted something otherworldly, something that would take me outside of this current day. And I don't think it has anything to do with like my life, like my motherhood, my wife partnership. Has nothing to do with that. I think it's just the demands of being out in the world, being a working woman in the world. Sometimes I feel like all of that is so full in my brain, and it is so demanding of my attention that the thing that I really want is to be taken somewhere else, to be taken beyond this moment in time into another, and to explore another world. But yeah, so thanks for letting me philosophize at the very end of this video. But yeah, I'm just sort of surprising myself as to where I'm at and what I'm interested in by going through this list with you. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'm still in the mood for otherworldly things. Anyhow, that's it for me. If you're interested in any of these books, will you let me know down below? And, thanks for spending this time with me. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you all in my next one. Bye.